Hi everyone, welcome to Black Dog School of Yoga Virtual Studio. So this is the second video of the three-part series where we're talking about the body as a house. So last week you took class with Krystal and she talked about the first floor being the foundation. So this week we're going to explore the second floor. So the second floor resides from the pelvis up to the mouth. It holds our vital organs, and it also holds our arm and our articulation of speech. So when we look at the second floor, this is like how we basically do everything. The first floor is the ground of being. The second floor is about the ground of doing. So we're going to be like on our hands a lot. We're going to be a little bit more dynamic with some inversions and finding some space and volume through our torso as well, through some pranayama work towards the end of class. So for today, you do need a wall space. It doesn't have to be a big wall space, just enough for your mat to fit up against, and then 2 blocks, a strap maybe, and a blanket, okay? So let's go ahead and start in tabletop. And as always, finding a formal measure. So if we come into just tabletop, however, we generally have our hands really far forward. So we want to measure everything so it's 90 degrees. So it's a very formal archetypal shape as opposed to sort of this is where we land. So take 1 block in front of one knee and put your knee flush up against that block so that the block's neither tilting forward or it's too far back. It's right thigh up against the knee. And then you'll take the block up against the opposite wrist and put that wrist flush up against, because what we know is the block is 90 degrees. What we feel is 90 degrees is a bit more subjective. Okay, point your middle fingers forward and look forward out in front of you. So a very simple tabletop position. Then from here, let's refine the measurements a little bit more. So spin on the heels of your hands until the middle fingers touch. If you have nails, make sure you measure the fingers, not the actual nails. And then you'll spin back on the thumb side of the hand so that the hands face forward. So now you have shoulder width distance. Okay. Then from here, look forward, press into the tops of your feet, so much so that the kneecaps lift. So this is how much vigor you need to push into the floor to anchor your feet. Now bring your knees back to the floor, but keep pressing down so much into the tops of your feet that then you can really lift your heart and your sternum forward. Soften the elbows, especially if you're a hyper locker. I'm in that club, so I always have to remind myself to bend the elbows, and then shift the body weight forward so your hips are directly stacked over your knees and the weight is in the knuckles of your hands. So you really have a good handle on this pose. Then from here, you're going to round your back, hollow your spine, tuck your chin to your chest, and take an inhale breath here, and then exhale, come forward. Take a couple rounds slow. And what I want you to really be articulate about is if you kind of come back here when you do your poses and your butt sticks back behind your knees. Really keep coming forward with your whole body so that the knuckles of your hands are the thing that's anchoring you down into the floor. Inhale to round in, exhale to round out. Now you might be thinking this is opposite breath as maybe traditional cat-cows where we look out to inhale and look in to exhale. And it doesn't necessarily matter which way you go, it's that you do both. So if going this way feels a little bit awkward, that's good. It gives you a little bit different insight so you know how to do more things. The more technique you have, the more powerful you become. So nice and simple round. And you can kind of keep this nice moderate pace as you shift forward into the knuckles of your hands, or you can start to speed it up, make the movements a little bit more fluttery, keep the breath moving in, out, in, out, in, out. And let's go for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One slow round in, so round your back, hollow your spine, shift forward into the knuckles of your hands, soften your elbows. That's a good personal reminder for me. And then exhale, look out, keep shifting forward. Nice. Come back to the middle, pop up onto your fingertips. So when you pop up onto your fingertips, it makes your ability to handle a little bit lighter. It's like lightening the load of your hands a little bit because you got to find your feet. Now bring your left knee to the middle. Go ahead and cross your right knee on top so you come into Gamukasana legs. And then open your feet so you make a really good tripod. And same thing, the tendency is to sit with the booty back here. Shift forward so that the weight is in the knuckles of the hands, or into the finger pads of the hands rather. Good. Find a couple breaths here, and then keep looking forward as you swirl your hips to the right. And same thing, our tendency is to really bring the butt back here. You want to keep coming forward, especially when you're playing on the fingers. It's a little bit harder, a little bit more demanding on the legs, but keep swirling around. And then every time you come to the left, inhale. Every time your hips go to the right, exhale. Go for another 5. Press into the tops of the feet. Shift the hips forward for 3, 2, and 1. Come back to the middle. Shift back a little bit so your front knee lifts off of the floor. And then take one block on its highest setting and then the other block on top of it. And shift forward until your right knee touches that block. And then go ahead and stand up on your knees. Again, stability. So even though we're working with the second floor, you still have to have stability to handle the world. If you're unstable, it's really hard to be able to handle the world. So from here, interlace your fingers, take your hands on the blocks, and you can notice if I sit back here with my booty behind me, it's super dense in my quads. Like my quads are working really, really hard. So my job is to really pull the pubis forward, getting it towards the blocks, and I'm using my hands to press down into the block to lift the front body forward and up. And the more I can get the hips to stack over the knees, the less my quads, my hamstrings, and muscles have to work because I'm just stacking bones. It's much more efficient. Good. And then from here, if you can, release the arms up into a V. Make that good shape with your arms, keeping your head in the middle of your arms. Shape the hands like cups and reach up and extend. And as you do that, can you find any bit more space for your pubis to come forward and wrap the left outer hip around and your right outer hip around and behind you. Use the leverage of your feet to do that for 3, for 2, and 1. Good. Take your hands back to the blocks. Sit back to undo. So it's a little bit more balancing back here than all the way on your knees. And then you're going to come forward back onto tabletop. Then you're simply going to switch your legs. Cross the left knee in front, Gamukasana the other way. Okay? Good bolt of the knees. Good bolt of the knees makes good scissors. Otherwise, you just have 2 blades. And then from here, go ahead and flip your wrists 180 degrees. Line one wrist with the other, and then do the same with the other side. Okay? Then from here, it might already be a lot for you to flip the wrist, and you can stay right here. If you are more fluent with having your wrists backwards, play it on your fingertips. So this becomes demanding on your legs. Foundation, even though we're still playing on the second floor, good foundation is important. Look out and look forward and shift into the thumb of your hand forward so that your hips are over your knees, and then go ahead and swirl your hips counterclockwise. You might notice going this way is a little bit more sticky. That's totally fine. And just kind of finding your way traversing around your hips counterclockwise. When you go counter, it's going into your personal investment, your personal stock. So it's a little bit deeper, it's a little bit darker in there. It's usually really hard for us to deal with our own personal garbage. We like to deal with everyone else's matters first besides ours. So that's why maybe this side feels a little bit sticky, and that's okay. And then once you get a little bit more fluent, go a little bit faster. And notice that I'm moving my hips and not my torso. So I'm not like swirling my torso around. My torso stays fairly still, and I'm moving just the hips. I like to use the analogy of hula hooping. You have to swirl your hips to hula hoop. You don't use your torso to help you with that. It stays pretty stationary. Good. Come back to the middle. Sit back just a little bit so the front knee pops up. That way you have some balance to take your block tower, bring the left knee forward all the way into that block, and you can see when I start, my booty sits back and it's like super dense in the muscle. So interlace your fingers, place the palms on the blocks, push down and bring your pubis forward and up. Think that you're kicking into your right foot to bring your right butt around, and kick into your left foot to bring your left butt around. Good. And then go up through the crown of your head. Pubis goes forward. That's demanding in your hip flexors, but eventually that'll create more stability. Good. And then if you want, take your arms up into V shape. Center your head in between the arms. Pubis forward. Nice deep breath in. And nice deep breath out. Good. Bring your hands back to the blocks. Stick your booty back to lift the left knee. That will help you balance. And then find your way into a dog with regular legs. Since we have the wall today, back up and put your heels up on the floorboard. And then now find a measure. So shift yourself into high plank. Walk the heels of your hands back underneath your shoulders. And then from there, then you have a good measure of a dog. Bend your knees, get your belly to come back toward your thighs, and really lift your tush up nice and high. So I'm not interested in the knees straightening. I'm really looking at the point of your triangle to lift and lengthen away from the backs of your knees. And then find a couple breaths here. And pause here in your dog for a moment. So find a nice voluminous dog here. So press into your right hand, lift up through your left sitting bone. Press into your left hand, reach up through your right sitting bone. And see under there, can it start to inflate your underbody just a little bit? So it's feeling like your underbody is kind of ballooning just a little bit. But at the same time, your belly and your chest starts to descend towards the floor. Then from here, go ahead and bring your feet together to touch. Take your left leg up the wall. Come onto the ball of your foot. And so your left leg will be straight. Your right knee bends, belly towards your thigh. So you're more kind of like in a lunge here than you are in a down dog. But your arms are still pressing into the floor. Because again, it's about handling. It's about how can I really support my body in this inverted shape by pressing into the knuckles of my hands. Even so much so, maybe the heels of the hands slightly lift. Good. And then switch out your legs. Bring your feet together to touch. Go ahead and take your right leg, ball of the foot on the wall. Right leg is straight, left knee is bent. Good. And then press into the knuckles of your hands. So if this feels very wristy, then it is. So move the weight out of your wrists into the knuckles of your hands. Nice. And then bring your feet together to touch. From here, measuring hips with distance, turn your feet out to ballet first position, and then rotate your heels in line with your toes, and that should be approximately hips with distance. Shift forward into high plank. Press into the knuckles of your hands, bring your sternum forward, and lift your hips back towards the sky. Do that 2 more times. Come forward, high plank, and then back dog. 1 more time, high plank, and then back to dog, pause. Find the cross reference again. Left hand pushes forward away from your right sitting bone. Right hand presses forward away from your left sitting bone, and breathe. Wrap the outer armpits towards the floor. And from the center of your chest, start to make that descent down and back towards your thighs. Keep your gaze looking semi-forward, if not all the way forward. Good. All right, come down to your knees. Take your 2 blocks, put them end to end. Make sure the edges of the blocks touch. And then grab your strap and loop your legs together, hips width distance. So when you strap your legs together, your legs aren't close to each other, the hips width distance, and your strap keeps them that way. This ensures that you have stability in your legs, so then we can handle things. We can handle the world a little bit better when our foundation is really sound. Okay, so then from here, you're going to come back into a dog, and then bring yourself forward so that your pelvis, not so much your pelvis, your upper thighs come onto the blocks. and your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders. So do the best you can to kind of look around to make sure that's happening. And the strap is giving you that reminder to push out into the strap and back through the heels. So the legs are super strong. If your legs are kind of noodly like this, then your back is going to take this. Your handling is going to take this. So stability in the legs. Reach the backs of your legs up. And try to soften your butt so your musculature will work, but they don't need to clench. Okay? Then from here, bring your chest all the way down to the floor and take your hands like you would into cobra. So the wrists are in line with your nipples and legs are super strong. Okay? Then from here, keep looking forward and slowly bring yourself back up into this tuck-toed up dog shape. So a little bit different than plank because we're in like a wave, a crescendo of the upper back. And then go ahead and take it all the way down back to the floor. Keep looking forward, keep reaching back through your heels, and then take it up. 2 more times. Down and up. Down and up. Good. And then pause here. If that was plenty for you, you work the same way. Otherwise, flip the wrists. When we flip the wrists, we broaden the collarbones. The wrists are miniature collarbones, so it opens up the frame. It makes it a little bit easier to breathe, but it's going to be more taxing on your wrists, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So once you get your wrists situated, strengthen up your legs by pulling your legs apart in the strap. And then same thing, this time just go to chaturanga though, so the shoulders in line with the elbows. Lower here, keep looking forward, and back up. And let's do this 5 times. Last 3, 2, and 1. Good, come back up, pause, pull your hands apart by pressing into the thumb and the index finger of your palms, reach back through your heels so your legs are substantiating while you can look forward, breathe forward, good. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring your knees back to the floor, shift back into child's pose. You can keep your strap there, and just reach your hands forward. Maybe allow your head to descend and pause for a moment. And then if you want, bring your palms together to touch, reach the thumbs back to the nape of the neck. Wiggle, waggle your elbows forward just a little bit to get some stretch through the underarms. Good. Okay. Come up and out of that. Undo your strap. Remove your blocks and find yourself back to a dog. So put your heels up on the floorboards. Shift your body weight forward to get your shoulders over the wrists, and then you have a good measure back to downward facing dog. Nice. Feet together to touch, and then once again, take the ball of your left foot up on the wall. Find the knuckles of your hands so it's not so wristy. Handle yourself more efficiently, more effectively. You can get more things done. So you don't want to over-exhaust yourself. Then from here, walk your hands back just enough so that you can bend the left knee and set the shin on the wall. So now you have really good contact of belly to thigh. And then now you're a little bit more weighted in your hands, but still in the knuckles, so the weight is out of the wrists. Keep pressing the chest and the belly back towards the thighs. And any amount, scoot your left knee up the wall. So then you really start to feel what that arm balance is like. Nice, and then from here, switch legs. So come back, feet together. So you're probably in a short dog, so measure again, come to high plank. And then lift the hips high. Feet together, right leg up towards the sky, come onto the ball of your foot. Reorient the weight of your hands out of your wrists into the knuckles of the hands, and then walk one handprint back or so, wiggle your right foot up as you press the knee and shin into the wall. So the knee goes high. You don't want to drop it down here because then you don't get much length through the legs. So really scoot your right knee up the wall, point the toes, belly back towards your thighs. Wrap the outer armpits in just like in downward facing dog. And then go ahead and set the foot down. Shift your weight forward into high plank. Once again, get your measure. And then hips high down dog. So your feet are probably together, so open the toes up to valet first position, and then widen the heels, lift the tush. Okay, from here, go ahead and look forward towards your thumbs. Step your right foot forward into a lunge. Give yourself just a moment there, and let's go forward and back onto the right heel. Just finding this rocking motion in the ankle, finding this rocking motion a bit in the pelvis. Good. And now from here, play on your fingertips if that's possible. Go ahead and step the right foot back just about a foot distance or so the toes are underneath the belly button. And then now plant your hands flat to the floor. So initially we start, shoulders are not stacked. So what I want you to do is plunge your weight forward, lift your left foot, and get it so that your shoulders are over your wrists. Okay, so this becomes really a deep arm balancing thing. And just pause. So the key is make sure this left leg in the air is really alert. So you don't want it bending, flopping around like a fish out of water, really alert. And then just simply bounce in this right knee. And as you bounce in this right knee, the left leg might go rogue on you, so really find some alertness. Shoulders over the wrists, and simply just bounce. For 3, 2, and 1. Good. Find your way back to dog. Whew, really simple, but really challenging at the same time. Look forward, step your left foot forward, come into a lunge. Yeah, and then go ahead and rock back on the heel, forward into the lunge, back into the heel. Find that rocking motion through the ankle, as well as the pelvis, okay? And then same thing, play on the fingertips if you can. Just lighten up the load of your hands. Step the foot back so it's underneath your belly button. Plant the palms flat, and then shift shoulders over the wrists. First stack, okay? So already I'm like here in a handstand. Then I lift the right leg up, and I make sure my right leg is really alert. This leg will probably stay very alert because you're standing on it. But right leg, try not to make it flop around in the air. And then bounce, 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 bounce. And as you bounce, can you keep that alertness of your right leg? Handle with your hands by stacking your shoulders over the wrists for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Take it back, dog. Shift it forward, high plank. I tend to overshoot my hands, so I have to wiggle them back and lift it back towards the sky. Good. So that's really like the first stage of teaching yourself how to be in your arms a little bit more. We're already really, really good at doing. We're big doers. Humans are really doers. It's the being part that's a little bit hard, but integrating both. How can we integrate what we did last week with the first floor, substantiating the legs, and then taking that into our hands so that we need to handle the world, but how can we do it better, more efficiently, more effectively? Okay, again, right foot forward, lunge, and then go ahead and step the foot back a foot's distance. Flatten your hands if they're not already. Come forward, shoulders over the wrists, stack your bones, okay? Lift the left leg up. So you can come back to the first stage, bounce. You can take just tiny hops. But as you take tiny hops, remember this leg isn't like flying around, fish out of water. It's really alert. Alert. And you're taking tiny hops. And you're also not shuffling your shoulders back and forth either, okay? Come back to a dog. We'll take the other side. So it's about the alertness of the upper leg as you stabilize the bottom leg. Left leg forward lunge. Step it halfway back. Good. And then come up, flat palms, shoulder over the wrist. Right leg super alert. And again, bounce it or hop it. And the key is when you hop, do you know what your right leg is doing in the air, or is it flopping around like a fish out of water? Good. Take it back. Let's come into child's pose. Give it a moment. So option knees wide, or you can take your knees together and fold over.
As you can see, when you're in the floor of handling, it's a lot of work. Man, I'm out of breath. I don't know if you are, but it's a lot. And we tend to reside there. We like to occupy our second floor. We like to do a million things, multitask, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is if you don't fill up your cup, if you don't have a stable foundation, if there's not a connection to what you're doing and your imagination and your creativity. So all of it has to be in flux, fluid, mobile. Good. Okay. Slowly come up. Let's take this same kind of work onto the wall. Find yourself in a dog. Shift forward into high plank, find your measure, and lift your hips back towards the sky. Feet together. Left leg up the wall. Okay, so just like we did before, I had you scoot back to take the shin on the wall. Don't do that. Keep your left leg straight. And as you start to walk your hands back, wiggle your left foot up the wall. So it might not be super close to the wall. That's totally fine. But get yourself more into like a standing splits. And again, the minute you feel this becoming a wrist thing, push into the digits of your fingers and the knuckles of your hands. Okay? Now, really kick your ball of the left foot into the wall, so much so that you can shift your shoulders over the wrists and take the right foot on the wall. So you're taking just like a lunge. If that's too much, keep your right foot down and simply just hover it. For 3, 2, and 1. Oof. Release that and walk yourself out. Good. Come forward, high plank. Lift up, down dog. Okay. Bring your feet together to touch. Take the ball of the right foot up the wall. Keep the right leg straight as you start to walk in, and as you start to walk in, the right foot has to crawl up the wall. Okay. Find the knuckles of your hands, and then go ahead and shift the shoulders over the wrists and step your left foot on the wall. Or you just hover for 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Take it back down. Find again your child's pose, knees together or knees apart, and fold. Okay, come back up. All right, our last little inversion here is we're going to take it into a square pose, which is basically, if you don't know the version of square, it's just like an L stand on the wall, okay? I like to have blocks underneath my hands. Pick and choose. Try it maybe with blocks, and if you're like, I don't want that, it feels really scary to be that far off the floor, put your hands on the floor. First off, measure yourself by sitting up against the wall, tailbone against the wall. Where your ankles are where the blocks will go. So you'll just kind of take the blocks here in line with your feet. Okay? The hands will probably be much closer to the wall than you think because you want to be able to get a really good right angle at the pelvis. Okay? So then, from here, put your hands on the blocks or on the floor, totally up to you, and then come up into this squatty dog. So not quite a real down dog, legs are much closer. And then bring your feet together to touch. First thing, shift the shoulders over the wrists. Stay. Play, taking one foot up on the wall, maybe push to hover, and then you switch, right foot on the wall, push to hover, so that you know how much you have to kick. Okay? Once you've got that, you'll then walk yourself up the wall and take your feet to the height of your hips. Really think about getting your butt forward. So if you're just watching me, you can see that my butt are over my shoulders, like surpassed my shoulders. And my knees are bent and my arms are pressing and I'm looking forward and I'm making a square relative to the floor and the wall. And you're going to breathe for 3, 2, and 1. Come back down and pause. Take a breath. That's a lot. Okay, so give yourself a minute. Okay, we're going to give that another try. First time through, you don't know where you're going. Second time through, it's like, okay, I've got this. Then you can start to articulate some of the detail a little bit more. Hands on the blocks or floor, heels on the wall, squatty dog. So don't come up with your shoulders this far back because when bones are not stacked, it's not very efficient. So start shoulders over the wrists, then maybe take the opposite foot on the wall, and then hop your way up. Again, if this is not quite there for you yet, just take one foot and hover it. Bend your knees and stick your butt towards the top of your mat as you take your chest towards the wall. Again, maybe second time through, it does for me at least feel a little bit easier. Push away from the floor. Handle yourself. Hold the weight of your body for 3, 2, and 1. Come on down. Take a rest. We'll do it one more time. Third time's a charm. We'll see how it comes up differently. Okay, here we go. Third time. Try it maybe on blocks if you haven't been doing that. And again, it does something different when you're lifted away from the floor. It does take you higher off the floor, but it gives you sort of like a little bit of buoyancy. That's what I find at least. Okay. Heels on the wall, butt lifted. Of course, first step, shoulders over the wrists. Take your foot up or hover one foot at a time. Stick your butt back towards the front of your mat. Take the chest towards the wall. Push into your arms. Keep your knees bent. Not interested in the legs straightening because your legs bent will give you more articulation in your back. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Come down and pause. Whew. Maybe close down your eyes. Settle for a minute. Okay. Move your blocks aside. Keep them near. You might want them. And then let's take a blanket, fold it in this quarter fold here, and then go ahead and sit on your blanket. Okay. So the options are this. Coming into double pigeon where you have one shin stacked on another. If you're like, there's no way, my knee is up here, I can barely get my foot up and over, no problem. Just sit with your legs crossed. If you're in this variation, I would pull your feet right and left to get a really good cross at your shins, calf area, okay? Make sure your right foot is on top, either version. And then press into your blanket, stick your booty back, and plug your perineum. Your perineum is that space between your front sex organs and your anus, right in the middle. It's like having a really good plug of your toaster oven. If you don't plug it all the way, one prong is loose, it's not going to work. So same thing here, okay? Good foundation so that we can start to handle with our arms. Take your blocks, bring them out to the sides, make a good frame with your arms. Lift your chest, pull your pubis, your belly button, your sternum forward to give you that good crescendo of your back. So you're not leaning back to do a back bend, you're going forward to back bend. So it doesn't matter what variation you're in, find your hip crease and start to hinge forward at your hip crease. Take your blocks, walk them with you. So if you're in the cross shin variation, it will be very much the same. And then bring your blocks forward. You can also pop them on the higher setting, whatever is available for you. If you're down with your belly onto your thighs, then you can drop your head in line with your ears. However, if you have a really rounded lower back and you don't have that connection to your thighs, no problem, stay upright. So you're keeping the integrity of your vertebrae, integrity of the back. Root into your right hand, press it forward and find your left butt bone. Root into your left hand, press it forward and down into your right butt bone. So I'm going to show you this twist one of two ways. So if you're down further in the ground like me, stay like this, and then bring your left elbow across in front of your left foot, and then palm of the hand in front of the fist and twist. If you are more upright, just simply take the left hand to the knee and then the right hand behind you and twist like this. Twisting allows a spin around the axis of the torso so that you can see 180 degrees to your right and then 180 degrees to your left. When we handle the world, we want to be able to see where our blind spots are and get rid of the blind spots because we don't want to be sideswept. We want to know what we're walking into. When we drive a car, it's really important to have good side view mirrors so that we can look all around us and be able to navigate the road safer. Same thing here when you're practicing yoga, same metaphor. Coming back to the center, same thing. If you're really far forward, then you can either take your elbow to the sole of the foot or elbow to the floor, hook the palm on top of the fist, and then twist over to the left. If you're a little bit more upright, just grab the foot or grab the knee and twist over to the left. And find 180 degrees to your left. So we're going to do this twist again, but the first time I just want you to be in it, and then I'll give you some more detail the second time through. Okay, come back to the middle, either upright or really far forward, and then once again, go over to your right. So either do it upright or twist like this. If you're on the floor, I really want you to think about bringing the head back so that if your head and the tailbone were on a plumb line, it would be a straight line. So you've got to lean back. And then from here, bring the tip of your nose to the floor. If you're upright, bring the tip of the nose to the front of your mat. Good. And then look up, look forward, and then around you, and then see if you can find your right shoulder. Still doing this the same if you're seated upright. Close your right eyeball and see if you can find the wall or the ceiling with your left eye. If you can't, just know that there's a blind spot there. And it's for you to figure out and navigate around that. Good. Coming back to the center, simply stay upright and twist, or if you're down low, you're twisting to the left the second time. So what I mean by this is, if you guys can see, my head is sort of jutted off to the left here. I want to be able to lean the head back so I can get the crown of the head and the tailbone on the same center spit, on the same plumb line there. And then I start to twist. Drop the nose towards the floor or towards the front of your mat. Then look up, around, towards the ceiling or towards the back wall, depending on which twist you're in. Close your left eye, find the ceiling or the wall behind you with your right eye. If you can't see all around you there, know that there's a blind spot for you to figure out. So good. Unwind that, and then find your way upright. Pause here for a moment. We've been in the hips for a while. We got to do the other side, so just pause here. Good. Okay, lean back and switch legs. If you're in the crisscross legs, now your left leg is in front. Same thing, you'll grab your feet, pull them out laterally so that you have a really good cross at your shins. Or you're taking the full double pigeon shape. Press into your blanket, lift your hips, stick your booty back. Plug the perineum, find your blocks, sit upright. Formality gives you insight. When you do shapes and poses and practice based on your own foibles, based on your own habits, you stay in this comfort zone, or maybe conversely like a really painful zone. When you find more archetypal shapes, so we're not archetypes, but we're moving towards those shapes, we're human, but when you get more formal in your shapes, then your body works more efficiently. And then same thing, start to hinge at your hips, come forward, place your hands on the blocks. Any height, you've got 3 heights of the blocks, so play around. so long as you can anchor your butt bones back. So let's play the cross reference. Left hand, right buttock bone, right hand, left buttock bone. You don't have to be this far forward. You can certainly be upright, especially if you're rounding in your lower back. Play it upright. Not a big deal. And then if your belly's down to your thighs and you'd like to drop your head, bring your ears in line with your arms and find this fold. Nice deep breaths. Okay, we'll move into the twist. So first time, a little bit more simple. Walk your hands over to the left and take your elbow to the floor, palm of the hand on the fist. For those guys in the upright position, hand to knee, fingertips behind you, and spin. It's more potent if you think of it more as a spin, as a twisting. Sometimes twisting is like just a big wrench. So spinning, so you're spinning counterclockwise here, and you're trying to move this right lung around, 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 and continuously spinning, so there's organic movement even when you're more still, I suppose. Good, and then if you're low on the floor, walk yourself around over to the right. If you're upright, take a hold of your other knee or your other foot. Right hand goes behind you and spin to the right. So find your left lung here. It kind of stays stuck behind you. Spin it around to the right. All right, coming back to the middle, so we'll take this twist a second time with just a little bit more detail. So same thing, if you're upright, grab the opposite knee, twist to the left. For those of you guys who are far down on the floor, you'll take your elbow on the floor in front of your right foot, palm of the hand. And again, you'll watch how my spine kind of shoots off to the left here. Lean back so that your head comes back on the center plumb line as your tailbone. Then drop your nose to the floor or to the mat in front of you. Lift your nose up and around, make this sort of rainbow shape over around your neck and look up towards the ceiling. Close your left eye, find the ceiling or the back wall with your right eye. This side might give you a different blind spot, it might not give you a blind spot at all. Good, unwind that, stay low or twist upright, go over to the left. Elbow in front of your left foot, palm of the hand. And again, you start off with your spine shooting off to the right, lean back, find the plumb line. Take the tip of your nose to the floor or to the mat in front of you. Lift your nose, go up and around. Close your right eye, find the ceiling or the wall behind you with your left eye. Nice, unwind that, grab your blocks, and find your way up to a seat. Pelvis, biggest, densest part of our body, first major fold. Substantiating the ground floor so that we can handle. So we're going to stay in our pelvis just a little bit longer and see if we can take our arms for a little bit of a ride. Okay, lean back. And then let's go ahead and come into Gamukasana. So you can do this one of two ways. You can come up into tabletop, cross your right leg in front, just like we did at the very beginning. Open your feet and then go ahead and sit back towards the blanket. I do recommend 1 or 2 blankets underneath this seat. Lift your hips, scoot your butt to the left, tack your left butt cheek down and drag it across, so that you really have the stickiness of the left sitting bone pulling across to your right. And then open your feet so that they are horizontally even. That doesn't necessarily mean your shins have to be parallel. They can be really close to your hips. And then go ahead and grab onto your ankles, sit nice and tall. And then from here, just take gentle rocks of cat-cows forward and back. It might feel really like, oof, nothing's really moving, kind of dark and deep down there. Totally fine. Find some breaths, move through that a couple times. And then go ahead and swirl your hips to the right. And again, it's not this movement and undulation of the torso. It's just the pelvis. So the torso stays fairly still. and then go to the left. Good. Come back to the middle. Find the center. Pubis, navel, sternum, forward. Maybe take your blocks, fold it forward. So this might be you. Perfectly fine. If you can come down a little bit deeper, maybe ditch your blocks, find your fingertips. Press into your right hand or block, anchor your left buttock bone. Push into your left hand, anchor your right buttock bone. Okay, so I'm going to show this side sitting upright. For those of you guys down low, simply reach across, right hand grabs right foot, armpit over the knee, and then take the arm towards the sky. For those of you guys who are more upright, grab the shin, even the knee, whatever you can manage to grab. Take the left hand up. Really leverage yourself with the shin to turn to the left. Okay. If you're down low or up, start to look at your left hand, keep a gaze on it, swim it around, and grab the opposite shin and twist it back to the other side. If you're down low, try to get your left armpit to hook over the knee. And then swim it around, grab the shin, or if it's the foot, you're down low, reach it up. And then just take yourself for a swim. So if this is really hard and really grueling for you, get imaginative. Put yourself in a body of water that's really pleasant. And put yourself in a mind space where you're like, okay, I can handle being here. It's really gritty, it's really demanding, it's really hard, but I'm gonna stay. And take yourself for a swim. So your legs are grounding you, they're holding your foundation, and then you go for a swim. You can play with the world. You can play with other people. You have a good grasp of yourself. You can bring people in and host a party. You can entertain. You can serve. Good. And then take one more round each side so that you probably end with your right arm in front, coming back to the middle, and then we'll simply switch sides. So actually either come forward or you can simply flip-flop the legs, whatever works for you. Find yourself back into tabletop. Okay. So I didn't do this on the other side, but let's do it on this side. Left hand, left knee, right hand, right knee. Widen the elbows and then smush the knees together like you're tightening shoelaces. And then again, bring your ankles in line with each other horizontally. Doesn't matter if the heels are too far from the hips or not, so long as they're even. Okay? Grab the ankles and start to move forward and back. Cat-cows here. Notice maybe one side is a little bit easier, maybe one side feels a little bit stuck. And then start to swirl your hips counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, counterculture, personal investment, personal inheritance, what you were given into this world. It's a little bit more dealing with your past. Going to the right is your future. It's what the world has to hold for you. Going to the left is like, okay, this is what I was given. Now what am I going to do with it? These metaphors are helpful in places that are really hard. So you kind of use your imagination to navigate around the simplicity of our practice. Coming back to center, find pubis, navel, sternum forward, upright, and then any amount, come forward. Again, play on your blocks, or you're like, nope, I'm really good at staying upright, but I have this good curvature, this crescendo of my lower back. Fantastic. Now if you're on the floor, take your left armpit, hook it over the knee, grab your foot, reach the right arm up. If you're more upright, maybe grab the shin or the knee, same thing, right arm up. Either way, make the connection as best as you can, and then you'll go ahead and swim. Look at your hand, reach around. Try not to let your left hand go until you grab the other shin or foot, and then reach your left arm up. So you're keeping a connection the whole time. Swim around and up. Keep swimming, keep swimming. Again, if you're like, I really, really hate this, get imaginative. Put yourself in a place that's pleasant. With the sun basking upon you, and you're swimming around with dolphins or nice surfing waves, whatever it is. Whatever you need to do to be able to stay in it. And then eventually end up with your left arm on top, bring the pubis forward, find yourself at center, and then come to the middle. Good, okay, come out of that. And then straddle your legs. This will feel nice after all the hip crossing. And then how far your legs go is how far you can handle it. So right arm crosses on top, grab your ankles. So you only widen your feet as much as your hands can handle. So if your feet are too wide to grab them, that's too far. And then just bring your sternum forward, stick your booty back, find that bit of a back bend. You can even bounce it out a little bit so your joints get a bit more malleable. Don't drop your head, don't round your spine though. Keep looking forward. Good, and then switch which arm's on top. And then bounce it out. All right, so we're gonna integrate a little bit of a twist. So we've handled things, our arms are on our legs. Take the left arm underneath. So you're gonna open your elbows like, kind of like a big open alligator mouth. Lean your left shoulder towards your left knee and try to thread your head through your underarm. Pull, handle your arms, grab onto your ankles, and look underneath you. Good. Let your right hand go. Thread it underneath you, and you'll go to the other side. Lean to the right knee. Open your elbows like a big alligator mouth, and the more you can lean, then you'll be able to thread your head through and twist. And then take this a couple times. Left arm under. Open it up. Right arm under, open it up. Don't worry if you're really kind of hanging above your arms. This is super, super hard. So eventually when you can get that spin really well, then your head can thread through your alligator mouth. Good. Okay, let that all go. All right, come back to your seat. Let's find Virasana. Bring your knees together. Block in between your feet. I like to take a blanket and throw it on top of the block so I elevate my butt even higher. That's really pleasing for my lower back. Try it on. Since you have a strap, I'll show you how to use the strap for pranayama. You'll take the strap underneath your hamstrings and then around your thighs. Take it nice and high towards your upper thighs as much as you can, and then tighten down. Same thing here, you guys. Maybe come into tabletop, stick your booty back, plug the perineum, and then bring yourself upright. Place your palms on your thighs, close down your eyes. So even though we're working the 3 floors individually throughout the course of these 3 weeks, at the end of the day, all 3 floors have to work simultaneously. The currency of the body has to be able to move from the ground floor, the boiler room, up to the 2nd floor, the floor of doing, all the way up to the crown of head, where the stellar nature is. Our intellect, our imagination, our dreams, our precious valuables. But when we break them down like this into 3 parts, it helps you individually understand the 3 floors, but then at the end of the day, how they all tie together. So just because you're working with the arms and the torso doesn't mean the legs aren't important as well. So imagine there's this golden thread that drops from the crown of your head into the throat, into your belly, into the perineum, plugging you into the floor. So that gives you the plumb line, the center spit, the sutra atman, the axis mundi. There are many names for it, but it reminds us where center is so that we can spatially be aware of what's in front, what's behind, what's to the right, what's to the left. From here, bring your fists together right in front of you. Lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders and bring your fists close enough to they're not touching, but they're in front of you. On an inhale, you're going to bring your chest forward, open the carapace of your chest, that hard shell, and then exhale, round in, push up through your upper back and the kidneys. Inhale, and then exhale. Initially, maybe make the movements a bit slower, a bit grandiose, where you can really see it through the external vision, and then start to make the movements a little bit quicker, a little bit smaller. Maybe close your eyes, let the pranayama be an internal experience. The physical practice is about making a form that's formidable, that's structure bound, that's stable bound. And then the pranayama is filling up that cup with an elixir, with a tonic that's vibrant. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to the middle, take your arms up. Take a deep breath in, and 3 sips through your mouth. And hold that generously and be full. Squeeze at the first floor, squeeze at the second floor, squeeze at the top floor, and then exhale, shoot it out the crown of your head. And let your arms release back down on your lap, palm face up. Hover around that middle central channel again. Anytime we're in the middle of anything, it gives us a clearer perspective. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong. It's just one side and then there's the other. And what makes us really powerful is we learn to navigate the middle of the in-between. How much light to how much dark, how much hot to how much cold, how much up to how much down. Interlace your hands, take your hands behind your skull, wrap your elbows up into a 45-degree angle, and then from here, inhale to the left, exhale to the right. See if you can start to move it a little bit quicker once you're understanding what you're being asked to do. Side to side, in, out, in, out, in, out. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take your arms up overhead. Take a deep breath in through your nose. In. Pause and wait for that moment where you can feel like you can take more air in, and then in. And again, in. Exhale the crown of the head, and then release the hands down. Find that prana, that energy disperse, displace throughout the entirety of your flesh, your bones, your skeleton. And then open your eyes, take your arms by your side, and start to move your arms, move your wrists, flutter it around. Really good handling. Yep, and really shake your arm and kind of see which side follows directions and which side doesn't really want to do what you're asking it to do. And then do just your right hand. So shake, 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 shake. And this is the handling of the world. Know that you can go out and you can shake a hand and you can make a deal and you can fulfill your deals and fulfill your contracts, and that's really going well. Move it around. And then do your left side. So this handling of your emotional, your personal stake, your personal investments, your personal emotions, that you are in control of them. Good. And then bring both hands. So you have your right hand and your left hand, and when the two to come together, it makes contact and makes a sound. So clap, 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 clap. Good. And this makes contact, makes an explicit sound with an implicit third hand. And then bring your hands down to heart center. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Namaste. Thanks, you guys, for joining. Tune in for the third week, third part of the series for the third floor. Thanks, y'all.